Hey guys, it is Flashback Friday and we are excited. I know we just had a video that was posted not too long ago, but we are going to throw this one back. You know, this is an exciting one for us because being Packer fans, Brett Favre's Rookie is in here, and it is an air card. They spelled his last name wrong, but it was uncorrected, so it's just his Rookie. We're going to get after it. And we're going to see what we can find. We're hoping we do a little better than that Griffey hunt that we had.
Yeah.
I've had this box since the day. I've had it forever. And so it's just time to rip it open. These cards do tend to stick together. So what we're going to do is we're going to open the packs. And we're going to work on getting them not stuck together, let's say, apart without damaging the cards. So as we do that, we're going to do that in a time lapse so that you do not have to sit there for 30-40 minutes watching us do this box. And then we'll go through the packs and the hits after we get them tore apart or, you know, ready to roll. So stay tuned for this. Is going to be a real quick time lapse, and the giveaway for our last video and this video will happen during our next video, which will be Sunday night. We might have a Saturday video too, which will just be something a little different, maybe like a top 10 basketball or something. But our giveaway stuff, we will do those over the weekend. We want to give more than just a couple hours to comment on that last crown box that we had. So here we go, guys. We'll be back in just a little bit with the results. All right, guys, we are back. So we went through all the packs. We got them stacked up there. A few of them did break apart, relatively difficult. Not too bad on most of them, but so I'm glad we did that time lapse so that we didn't drag it out. But a little interesting fact is that during Brett Favre's era and now Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, we've had two quarterbacks, our main quarterbacks, who take some injuries with Rodgers especially, and you'll throw in a couple other starters, so potentially you could say there was 4, maybe 5 starters in Green Bay. The Bears had, we're going to just start rolling through some of these right here. The Bears, they had 30 starting quarterbacks in that time. The Lions have had like 20, and the Vikings are right at about 20. So been pretty fortunate in Green Bay to have such great quarterback play, or, you know, longevity, I guess. Pretty fortunate with drafting Rodgers after Favre. So, but these are a pretty cool card, and the neat thing about them. So here's a nice one, Joe Montana. And so you look at the Joe Montana, and the grading on them is pretty tough because of the name. See how the name is not perfectly centered there?
It is not.
Between the two gold lines. So that makes it a little tougher to grade. But the neat thing about this set is when they come out on the back, and this is, I always like this, is that they show the rookie card of the player. So this 91 Stadium Club was the first year for Stadium Club, and then they show this rookie card on the back. So I always thought that was pretty cool, especially, you know, guys like that Montana that you might be interested in finding his rookie. And if you don't know it and you were in the era of these cards here, that would be a good way or easy way to find that out. So if we're just going to roll through these, and if we find anyone that's worth shouting out, hey, there's one of those starting quarterbacks, or those quarterbacks up there in Detroit, Andre Ware. Mark Rippon. you can grab a handful there, buddy. I'll let you go through the next ones, and I'll help you out with some of the guys back in this era that were really good players. Russell Maryland was a big-time draft pick for the Cowboys, I believe. Sterling Sharp. Boy, he wouldn't have been injured. He'd have been a Hall of Famer. Got a couple injuries that kind of held him back. Probably one of the best receivers ever to play in Green Bay. That looks like a Troy Aikman card, but that's not. It's the guy pursuing Aikman on that last card. These are the one neat thing about these sets is they had a lot of college players. So like Ricky Irvins here was a big one to chase after, and there's a couple quarterbacks in this set that I know when I was opening them up back in the day that we were after them more than we were Favre. Like Todd Marinovich was one of them that we were chasing after, and there's another one, and we'll come across it because I did see it in here. Here's a quarterback.
Nick Bell.
Or no, that's running back, I believe. Nick Bell for Iowa. So go ahead and roll right through them, bud. Hopefully they're not sticking together too much. But if we hit any Favres, we didn't look real close. We just kind of buzzed through these as we were taking them apart. We're going to double check that name thing and just see how they look and if it's worth sending in for some grading. I don't know. I had one graded back in the day. I got an 8 on it from Beckett. Never sent any to the PSA. It's a pretty tough grade. But if you can get a 10 in it, a 10 is a pretty decent card. There's Don Mikowski right there, buddy. You know what the importance is of that card? What's the importance of that card? Do you know?
No.
That's the guy that Brett Favre replaced in 1992 when Don Mikowski got injured. And then Mikowski never ever saw the field again. And Mikowski is one of those starting quarterbacks for the Detroit Lions along the way. He went over to Detroit and started a few games one year for them. So kind of an interesting deal there.
Brett Favre.
Well, there we go.
That one is a little bit low, I think.
The name's a tiny bit low?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Favre card.
Still a decent card. Brecken Johnson. Sterling Sharp.
Now, according to this one in here that I'm looking up, this I'm looking on my son's phone here, and I'm going to show it to you guys. This name doesn't look like it's...
Somebody left that.
It's a little bit higher than the one that's a Gem Mint 10 online, and they're asking. I don't think they're getting it. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. They're asking $19.99.99. So that would be amazing if we could get that.
Checklist card.
So you'll have to PSA 8 sells for about, looks like it's selling for $20 is all. PSA 9 sold for $39.50. And let's see, there's there must have been something special about that card because there was a little bit extra printing on that one that popped up. Any other good ones, bud?
I don't know.
You don't know the names?
No.
There. I better be watching and helping you out because you might have passed a couple that we should be giving away on the giveaway. So, yeah, PSA 10s there you can see right there for like $170 is what a PSA 10 would go for. Comment down below if Brecken passed any up while I was looking that stuff up. Being a bad co-host here with Brecken. Any of those Barry Sanders?
Not yet.
No. Barry Sanders is a good one, definitely. Emmett Smith, any of that?
No.
No.
Don't think so.
All right, let's try to stack those up a little better, bud.
Yeah.
You're getting them off there
Falling.
a little bit. Then you take those and you can, your next thing is just stack them down. You can name off some of the names if you remember, if you recognize any of the names from being in the Hall of Fame. Or there's a Packer, Robert Brown. Robert Brown, there's a story behind that one. Robert Brown is most known for taking Jim McMahon and body slamming him after a play. The play was over, and he picked him up and he slammed him right on his head. So that was probably the only thing Robert Brown is ever remembered for. Yeah, this one here, you didn't even mention this guy.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
on
Derek Thomas.
He's on the cover of the box,
Yeah.
bud. Well, Derek Thomas. Speaking of that, we could let's put this card right next to that Robert Brown. That way they can spend some time in our Commons box together, Robert and Jim Harbaugh. And that's Jim Harbaugh. It was Jim McMahon, but Harbaugh's close enough. But McMahon's the one he slammed. It was don't want to say it was a good play because it was not a nice thing. So what are you looking forward to, buddy, when things get back to normal?
I don't know, just to get out of the house, really.
Yeah. So what do you think about this draft coming up for NFL football?
That's going to be crazy. I don't know how they're going to do it.
You who do you think's going to go number one?
I don't know many.
You haven't looked into it much?
No,
or?
not much.
I think Joe Burrow definitely is number one.
Barry Sanders.
That's an awesome card. Barry Sanders is one of the greats, probably the best running back of all time in my mind. Excuse me. The Green Bay Packers. We'll see if we can hit that card in here. I think there was one, if I remember correctly, and it's a very appropriate
Another Barry
card.
Sanders.
Very appropriate card of the guy because of the way they did it. That the draft with Barry Sanders was loaded. Troy Aikman went number 1. The Packers had the number 2 pick. And here is a nice John Elway. That's a really good card there too. The Packers had the number 2 pick, and I think the Lions had 3. Anyway, there was so many players in there. You got a nice Dan Marino here too, buddy. He's a Hall of Famer. And nothing wrong with Brecken missing these because he doesn't really know a lot of these. Howie Long here, that's a good one. Darrell Green was the fastest man in football back then. But anyway, the Packers had number 2, and so they passed on Barry Sanders, Derek Thomas. I think Deion Sanders was in that draft. It was just a loaded draft, and so they passed on him. And when we find that card, I'm going to show it to you. But there's another quarterback we chased after, was Dan McGuire, and not worth anything today because he did not do anything in the NFL. So I'm going to apologize. This is going to be a long video. And just a lot of cards to go through. Brecken was asking how many cards were in this, and I says, well, there's 36 packs, 12 cards per pack. So math class today was to figure out how many cards are in this box. And how many were there, buddy? I don't know
About
if you ever
300
really,
or something like that.
You never really figured it
Yeah.
out. There's just over 400. There's like, was it 432? I believe it is. Well, I got a story here too, and you guys can look this up and go YouTube this one if you can find it. It's Steve Atwater. Steve Atwater and a Christian Koye. It was a Monday night game, I believe, when they were down by the goal line, and the Koye running back for the Chiefs was going in for the score, and he was a beast. He was a big guy, and Atwater hit him, and that was probably the hardest hit I've seen in football. I mean, it was an amazing hit.
Favre again. That one looks pretty centered.
Looks like a really
little
good one,
low
buddy.
though. I don't know if that's low. It looks pretty good.
Looks about like this other one.
Yeah.
They're both pretty solid though. They're
Yeah.
pretty solid corners, not bad. 2 Favres though.
Yeah.
That was a good box. I mean, they're not worth what they used to be. There used to be a $50 card. Yeah, I don't know. They both look relatively the same on the backs too. So, but they used to be a $50 card at one time, and I don't think they're quite at that anymore.
Jerry Rice.
Yeah, Jerry Rice is a great one. Throw him over here, bud. That's a Hall of Famer right there. So we're going to have to finish that story, though. The Packers, I mean, and some of you have probably now already figured out who the Packers drafted, because you're football fans, and he was the best lineman coming out of college football. Played for Michigan State, and he was a beast. And so he was definitely someone that the Packers needed a lineman at that time, needed a tackle, and they thought they were getting a solid tackle at the time, and they missed out on Aikman. They had like just slightly better record than the Cowboys, and Aikman didn't want to come to Green Bay anyway. He pretty much told them that
Pretty
he
sure
wouldn't
we
play
got
there.
a Aikman
Yeah,
somewhere
it would have been like a Elway story where he probably wouldn't have played there. But here's the card, and I'm glad they only show his face because he didn't do much for the Pack. Tony Mandrich. He was a huge guy. He was on the front of Sports Illustrated and everything, and we took him over Barry Sanders and all those guys, and so that was quite a deal back then that we had picked him over that. So not bad though, bud. What'd we get? A couple of the guys we're after.
2 Brett Favres.
Yeah, and that's the man we were after, so we got a couple of them. Sorry for this really long video, guys. Hopefully you stuck around, but there's our 2 Brett Favres. Not bad. Very good. So we need to give away a couple cards from this video. Comment down below and get in on this. So we're going to give away, let's give away this Michael Irvin. All right, we'll throw him in there. And then let's do, how about this Jerry Rice? It's a nice one.
Yeah.
And then we're going to throw in another Hall of Famer, Barry Sanders. That's a good one there, guys. So let's throw that one in there too, buddy. But there you go. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed Flashback Friday. Unfortunately, some Fridays might get long because the boxes we're getting into had a few more cards.
Yep.
Unless we get, we won't go back this far all the time. We're going to look at getting some boxes for you that are only about 5 years old or so. But they need to be 5 years old. That's kind of what we said. So thanks a lot. Have a wonderful night. We'll see you soon.